Hello and welcome, Gary Miller here bringing you some Rakdos burn action. Now before we get to the games, let's just check out our deck list. So here it is, nothing very special, it's just a regular Rakdos burn deck list. We got some creatures, even more burn spells, and obviously the two main cards of our deck are Sword Point Diplomacy and Risk Factor, which could put our opponent to very tough choices. So here's the sideboard, which I'm not going to be using today because we are playing the Quick Constructed event. I will talk more in detail during the games, that how you should approach playing this deck, what should be your philosophy, at least what works for me, and maybe you can tell me what works for you. So yeah, let's just get to the games. Okay, so this hand is a keep. We have lands, we have creatures to play, which is good. So it looks like we are against some kind of mono red. I'm thinking about if I want to Wizard's Lightning that creature now or next turn, or just leave that up. But I think the better play is here just to develop the board and go from there. I'm not really afraid of the mana ability on the Goblin because I can just block it with the Electrostatic Field, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now there are some interesting decisions how you want to proceed with this game. I think maybe all of the lines are pretty good. We can kill the Goblin, which can mentor the monkey, but since our opponent didn't draw his second land, I think Sword Point Diplomacy is a better play here, and try to apply pressure, maybe chip away of his life total. We have also a Risk Factor in hand, which is a really good draw engine, and we can also kill the Goblin anytime we want if he becomes a problem. That's why I didn't attack here, so maybe I want to block, but I'm not sure that I want to. We will see. I think at this point it's just better to try to burn down our opponent's life total. So we got 6 damage in hand, which is with Electrostatic Field 8. So I'm pretty confident we can take this before he can apply any pressure. It seems our opponent didn't do too much mana, so I'm very confident about this game. Also against mono red type of decks, Sovereign's Bite is an exceptionally good card, so obviously we can block here. I don't want to sacrifice my Lavarunner because that's just 2 more damage to his face next turn. So, and with the shock we can possibly kill him next turn. So all of this just goes to face. Oh, never mind, we can kill him this turn. So yeah, you can really see the power of the Rakdos burn deck. So pretty solid first game. I'm very happy about this one. On to the next one. So the first game was pretty easy, not too many hard decisions, some great cards. Let's see what happens next. So another okay start, lots of creatures, not too much spells, but with 3 lands it is certainly a keep. Usually with this deck you don't want more than 3 lands in your starting hand. 2 is absolutely fine, 1 is not that good, but usually if you are on 3-4 lands by a few rounds you should be fine. So just applying pressure with the Firebrands, putting the creatures down. Okay, so that's Electrostatic Field is a really good draw here. Usually can block some early aggression from opponents and also applies lots of pressure. It also makes a little bit more beneficial for us if we want to take creatures down from the board, like this guy. I think we want to take it down. We don't want our opponent to draw too many cards. So we didn't do any card draw engines, which could be a problem, but I think at this point he is so far behind that there's not too much of a chance of coming back. So Chupacabra is a nice pickup for him. So with as lightning we can hit the face, so the Lava Runners have haste, and then we can, and even if he blocks 1 Lava Runner, we force in 4 more damage. So I think that's the correct play here. I really don't want to lightning the Chupacabra. So our opponent should be on 2 HP, which against us is not very one to be. Any spell is lethal. If he can't deal with the Firebrands, it's lethal. And well, at this point we can just Surveyor for 2 life. So not BMing, just killing him. Okay, well, that was another quick one against Golgari, which is, I think, the most popular deck at this time in Constructed. Well, maybe Golgari and Mono Blue, so as you can see, and this wasn't even like too amazing of a draw. It was certainly not bad, but not anywhere near how powerful our deck can be. So yeah, pretty good. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, another decent starting hand. We need to draw only 1 mana. So the decision is if we want to go for the Cinder Barrens or the mountain, the untapped land. I think it might sound weird, but I like to apply pressure instantly, so that's why I went for the Firebrand, because even if we don't draw an untapped land next turn, I just play the tap land and play another monkey. So we drew a land, but still opponent didn't do anything, so another monkey is fine here, and just step out. So it looks like a black-white deck, which could be a really big problem for us because of the lifelink creatures, just like Bishop Soldier. I really don't want any lifelink creature on the board, and I really don't want them to attack at all, so Lava Coil is might be a little bit of an overkill, but if it's a decision between Lightning Strike and Lava Coil, I would like to keep the Lightning Strike because I can use it to burn the face. So anyway, yes, the hardest counter for the burn deck is obviously any deck with lifelinks. You really don't want any lifelinker to stay on the board. That card is not a lifelinker, so I'm not that worried about it right now. I will be later when the lifelinker vampires arrive and that guy just buffs them with +1/+1. But right now I would like to start with our draw engine, and wow, as you can see, the power of the Sword Point Diplomacy. Our opponent didn't want to give any of the cards to us, so we took 9. So at this point I'm just clearing the board and going for face. We got lethal next turn if our opponent can't do anything creative. So as I was saying, lifelink is the hardest, and yeah, that's lethal at this point. So another quick one, nice, very nice. Usually the hardest card to deal with might be Liver Dawnbringer, but basically anything with lifelink is very troublesome, and you have to take them down from the battlefield as soon as it's possible, or there are just very few occasions where you can leave a lifelinker on the board. Yeah, but other than those types of decks, you should be fine. Another thing could be problematic is some decks which can grow really wide and can tempo you down. Could be a problem, but sometimes you can manage that also. Sometimes you have to play a little bit more control-y. There are enough draw engines in the deck to compensate for you using burn spells on creatures and not on the opponent's face. Okay, so this is a great hand again. 2 mana, it's perfect for the first few turns. And this time I'm not playing the Lavarunner in the first round, I'm playing the tap land because I'm planning on using Pyro next turn, and we drew another land, which is great, so we can start to set up things with the Sword Point Diplomacy. Okay, so it looks like our opponent didn't play anything, which is screaming counterspell to me. So at this point I'm not sure I want to use Sword Point Diplomacy, but on the other hand we have 2 risk factors, so I could have used it, but I just want to bait out the Ionize first, or Sinister Sabotage. That's fine, and now we can just put down the Pyromancer, which at this point I have found it more valuable than the Lavarunner without the haste. So yeah, so far so good. I'm feeling pretty confident with 3 of the most powerful cards in our deck is in our hands, so I don't think we can run into too much trouble here, but we will see. You never know. Okay, so it looks like he left up 3 mana again, so we might bait out with a shock or just lead with the diplomacy. It's because I have 2 risk factors in hand, so even if it gets countered, it should be fine. Now you might argue that I should have dropped the risk factor first, maybe. maybe I think it goes fine. So I was thinking about using Shock here since he doesn't have counterspell, but I don't think there is too much point to it. Maybe I will use it at the end of his turn, or I might just keep it in case he plays Drake or something, or a Goblin Electromancer, or what's his name, and keep it for that. So yeah. If he doesn't play anything, I might just shoot it in the to his face, and if he counters it, that's really good for us, because then that means that's a free risk factor next turn. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I think our opponent is playing the classic Is It Control list. I think he's waiting on his Niv-Mizzet and his Raz. So at this point there is no reason to wait for his turn to risk factor. I'm using it main phase. It's because if he doesn't have a counter spell, I can draw 3 cards and maybe find something useful, maybe even lethal this turn. And Sovereign's Bite is fine, so that's 3 more damage to the face, so that leaves our opponent in 1. Yeah, we can attack first, see if he has anything. I'm not sure what he could have, but maybe a shock, but I don't think that deck plays with shock. I'm not sure. And now we can Sovereign's Bite. I don't think he has counter spell. I believe he would have used it on the risk factor, but you never know. Guys with the Teferi avatar always have a counter spell. Okay, he had a Syncopate, that's reasonable, I guess. Still we have lethal board. I guess he plans to minus the Ra, which is very inefficient, but I guess you have to do what you have to do, and there is like a million cards left in the deck which gives us lethal, so I'm not really worried about it. And also we can risk factor, our opponent is tapped out, and well, that's lethal, so good game. What is it now? It's 4-0, so very impressive start. I have to say I've been really enjoying this Rakdos burn deck. I think it's really fun. It's not that hard to pick up. I'm not saying this is one of the easiest decks, but certainly not the most complicated one, and you don't need a Harvard diploma to operate this deck. So I would definitely recommend to everybody to pick this deck up. It's not that expensive to craft, and it's really fun. People will hate you, but hey, what can you do? We are not here for the feelings, we are here for the gold and then the glory, I guess. Okay, so a decent hand. There is no reason to not play Cinder Barrens first, so that's how we start. So lots of burn spells in hand, not too many draw engines, which could be problematic, but we will see. So it looks like we are against maybe a Dimir deck who didn't auto erasure on the second round, which is very promising. Okay, so he used his mana. I'm using all my spells to burn his face. this point I'm just trying to get his life total as low as possible, so I don't think we will need Lava Coil here. Yeah, Electrostatic Field is nice, and yep, what we need here is one of our card draw engines to arrive. Okay, so Ritual on one Electrostatic Field. I think that's fine. Okay. So I can Lightning Strike the face since he's tapped out, but I would like to just preserve it. Maybe use it on Thief of Sanity, or I don't know what else can arrive which could be problematic. Okay, so just Discovery. At this point I think I would just like to Lightning Strike the face. And he already played a land, so he can't Disinformation Campaign the other Lightning Strike out of my hand, so yeah, he could kill the monkey, which is unfortunate. We are down to one card. This certainly can go badly against this deck. So I think at this point, because he's gonna play Disinformation Campaign next turn, we will just empty our hand while he is tapped out, so it doesn't run into a counter spell, and well, we might be in trouble. This is certainly a point where control deck could start taking over the game. I don't really care about the Blood Operative. What we need here is some kind of draw engine, maybe Risk Factor, maybe Sort 1 Diplomacy, so that's a really good pickup. And wow, those are cards that if he gives us and he's not able to take it out of our hands, he could be in trouble. But yeah, it looks better now. So he gave us Pyro and Sovereign's Bite. Both are fine, and he doesn't want to give us Risk Factor, so we got lethal in our hands, but I'm sure he has a plan. Yep, I have played against too many Dimir controls, so it looks like he's taking everything out of our hand. Yep, this game might not go our way. So we drew a land, and I think at this point there is not too many ways we can win, but hey, you can't win it all, you can't win every time, so it's fine. It can happen with every deck, if you don't get the good cards or your opponent has answer to everything, especially if it's a control deck. At some point you just run out of steam. Maybe we could have won this game if I would have stayed for 5, 10, 15 minutes more, but usually we don't, so I just take the lose and move on to the next one. Okay, wow, well, this is a really ambitious hand. I really like it, but I think we have to mulligan this because there is not many things we can do with only 1 mana. So we are on the draw, so maybe we could keep it, but I think that's a little too ambitious to keep this hand. but certainly these kind of hands, maybe against mono red or other types of aggro decks, it could work. Well, this looks much better, and we get to scry one and the lightning strike, which could be okay. There's no reason to drop it. So we will see. Maybe we will start with a little bit more control-y approach. Okay, so there is an interesting decision. Playing Electrostatic Field or letting him start generating tokens. And I think I really don't want to deal with a very wide board, which Mara could certainly do. I think he made the correct decision, taking Amara down. So another interesting decision. I would just like to start drawing cards. I'm fine with taking 2 from the knight for now and not playing Electrostatic Field. Also, I'm thinking ahead that what should we do with the History of Benalia. Okay, so he gave us two Electrostatic Fields. If those can stay in play for a few turns, that usually wins us the game, so I'm pretty happy about that. At this point I'm just trying to control the board as much as I can. Advento Vanguard I'm not really worried yet. The Electrostatic Field could just chump block it all the way. So this is a hard decision. We could play 2 fields, we could play Pyro and the field. We could play a field and heal, but so playing 2 fields is a little bit greedy, because it means I'm not blocking the knights, I'm only blocking the Vanguard and hoping he doesn't have any pump spells. So yeah, it's a little bit greedy, and of course he has, but it's fine. We pick 10, so I need to start controlling the board. I don't think we have time for sword point diplomacy at this point, so Pyro and maybe shocking one of the knights is a good play, yeah. Sovereign's Bite, I'm not quite sure if that's the correct play here. Certainly we would like to heal, but I would like to manage the board a little bit. Blizzard's Lightning is interesting. I'm not sure I want to use that on the knight, but maybe we have to because of some pump spells. Yep, so just controlling the board. Usually you're not happy with the Rakdos burn deck if you have to use your burn spells on creatures, but we were starting to drop a little bit too low, and wow, it paid off big time that we cleared the board. So right now there is not much else to do than do a sword point diplomacy. We have mana to play Sovereign's Bite after, and let's see what we get or we don't get. Oh, those are some cards our opponent don't really want to give us, but I think at this point, yeah, he's gonna give us. Oh no, not all. Okay, so I think we just play Sovereign's Bite to heal and maybe start chump blocking so we don't die to a pump spell. I think I'm happy to sacrifice our Pyromancer here. Okay. So I'm blocking the Vanguard. If he wants to pay for life for it, I'm happy. If he has another pump spell, I'm fine. There is a very high possibility we can kill him next turn. Any burn spell would kill him, and that will do it. So it's a little bit close, it's a little bit risky. As I've told you before, these are one of the harder matchups for this deck, but I think we handled it well. I'm not sure this was 100% the correct play. Maybe I could have been more aggressive, but I think I would have lost this game if I have done more aggressively. But tell me what you think. If you would have played it differently, it worked out, so I'm happy about it. Okay, so we are 5-1 and looking to make that 6-1. Okay, so a decent starting hand. Three lands, a Sword Point Diplomacy, a creature, and some shocks, maybe for board control, maybe for going face, we will see. So there was no reason to shock his face yet. If he's a mono blue, I'm saving shock for the Curious Obsession target, and Pirates, if those are protecting it. Okay, so our opponent is stepped out with the Nightmare Sprite. It's an interesting decision. Do we want to shock it, or do we just want to play Sword Point Diplomacy? It's an interesting decision. I'm not sure I want to let him surveil, but if we shock, there is not much else we can do this turn. But we just doesn't allow him to surveil, and maybe he plays something juicy for us to shock next turn. So yeah. I'm not sure this was the correct play, but I'm certainly happy about it. Okay, so I think at this point Swordman Diplomacy could be great, but Sovereign's Bite I'm doing because I'm expecting a counter spell with 3 open mana, and there it was, so I didn't want to drop the Sword Point Diplomacy into a counter spell. So a Merfolk Trickster that's gonna die. So our opponent doesn't play anything on 4 mana either. So it's the same thing again. I don't want to drop the Sword Point Diplomacy into counter spell, but it seems like our opponent doesn't have any more counter spells. So I really don't know what's going on. He didn't even play Merfolk Trickster, so I'm not sure what he has at this point. Maybe lots of dive downs and sleeps, or I don't know. Okay, so I'm just gonna shock to his face because he doesn't have counter spell, he doesn't do anything. Okay, and we have so many card draw engines now that I think even if he has lots of counter spells in his hand, which he shouldn't, uh, we should be alright. So let's see what we get. Okay, so, oh wow, okay, interesting. He goes down to 1 HP. I guess he has a... okay, wow, that works. Yes, as you can see, sometimes people that don't know how to react to sword point diplomacy. This certainly can create some interesting situations, as you saw, even at 6 wins. People having a hard time handling it. I'm pretty sure our opponent had a terrible hand, so yeah, well, it happens to everybody. Okay, so final boss time, and we have 2 chances to beat it. Okay, so very decent starting hand, and our opponent mulligan to 6, which I am happy about. Okie dokie. Okay, so there is not much what we can play. We can lightning strike now or wait for his turn. I think there is no reason not to wait. Okay, so it looks like we are up against Jeskai Control, who has searched for Ascanta on the 2nd turn, which I'm not happy about, but looking at our hand, I think our opponent has quite an uphill battle to fight. I think we should be able to beat him before he takes over the game, but yeah, you never know against Jeskai. So wow, okay. He gave us those 2, which is fine. So against Jeskai Control, the spells I'm trying to play around is obviously some counter spells, some Deafening Clarions, Cleansing Novas, and Settle the Wreckages. So Electrostatic Field is really good against Clarion. I think we can go for another card draw, but I think I would just like to apply some pressure here with Pyro and as Lightning. The problem is that's very bad against Deafening Clarion, which he could be playing next turn. So yep, it's an interesting decision, but well, we will see. He doesn't have 2 white mana yet for Settle the Wreckage or Cleansing Nova. So counter spell, that's fine. At least it was not amongst our more valuable cards that he counterspelled, and he's already at half HP, so I think it's looking good at this point. Another search for Scanter just to feed his graveyard. It's fine. So our opponent is tapped out, so this is the time to use our more powerful spells, which we don't want to get countered. So let's see. So our opponent is thinking very hard about this one. So which one will he give us, which one will he not? I think he should just give me all, to be honest. But yeah, those are some cards you really don't want to give me. I mean, yeah, I think he made the correct decision there. Because he can't really use more, he can't really lose any more of his life total, and he either draws the answers or he loses the game. His our opponent has the 2 white mana now for settle, but we don't really care about that. All we are playing around are counter spells at this point. But we are in kindergarten with our hand now, so we are really happy. I don't think we want to risk factor here. We just want to burn his face, so he let resolve. I don't want to do another Electrostatic Field here, just because of the possible Cleansing Nova next turn, which I'm not sure he just guide deck's main deck anymore, but you never know. So I think this is just better. 4 damage to the face. Maybe bait out a counter spell, which is fine. Okay, so he copies it, or yeah, copies it. That's, well, I don't know about that one. I'm not sure what was the plan there. Okay, and he plays Leave Mizet, which does nothing here, so that's GG. Okay, so we went 7-1 with Rakdos Burn in MTGA Arena constructed event. I'm really having fun with this deck. I could not recommend anymore. I think you should try this one out if you want to have fun, if you like this kind of game. And see you next time. I hope you had a great time. Oh, and I didn't get anything that I needed, so wow. Usual. Okay, see you next time.